Hi everyone, today is the official date of this Montech HyperFlow Digital 360 to be launched, and I'm glad I'm able to share this with you. Thanks to Montech to provided this unit for me to share with everyone. Now on Reddit itself there are tons of questions regarding about Montech products. Are they sealed, are they unpacked or such? So right now just going to show you. I've not opened this up. So when you purchase this package, it's fully sealed. I'll go into details about this package, but right now I'll just do the unboxing. So I'm just going to rip off the plastic wrap. So this is the first thing that you will encounter to purchase a new unit. Okay, this is done. Next thing will be looking at the opening. It's sealed too, so you will need to cut this open. Then you'll be able to access to the box. Now what's in this box? Let's have a look. You'll be provided with a instruction manual, the mounting on the Intel and the AMD platform, and all the accessories. These are the accessories, the screws, the mounting and the standoffs and such, and these are the mounting bracket. I'll go into details again. And of course the main unit, having the pump block, which is sealed. Okay, here we go. Okay, the top cover is sealed with this, protecting it. And this is the base. Oh, pre-paste. Nice. And this is the radiator with all the fans pre-installed, which I'll go into details. These are the accessories which are nicely packed. I've taken them out. Starting off with my left, the standoff for AMD. We support AM4 and AM5, and this is the mounting bracket. And as for Intel, it supports various of socket. Starting off with the 115X, you have the backplate. This also inclusive of the 1200. So if you're using this backplate, right, make sure that you use the correct package, which is labeled. See, this is for the 115X and for the 1200. And as for the 1700 and 1851, you'll be using this backplate together with this standoffs. We say 1700 socket. It's all nicely labeled. Well done. And as for the 211 and the 266, you don't need the backplate, but you will need this standoffs. A tube of thermal paste, a spatula, and a template for you to apply the thermal paste on the cold plate. The mounting tool, or should I say the mounting bolt tool, which is meant for you to cram the standoffs to the motherboard. You have mounting retention bolt, and total of, depending on the Liquid AIO, this is 360, so you have total of 12 short screws, which is meant for you to mount the radiator to your case, and 2 tube holders with the logo. Nicely done. The main unit consists of 2 sizes, which is 240 or the 360. And both, be it the 240 or 360, it comes in 2 color, which is black or white. I will first start off with the measurement. Now, for the length of this is at 397 mm, and as for the width is 120 mm. Now, as for the thickness of the radiator, this is at 27 mm. And as for the fans, these are the E28 argb fans that does not have a standard 25 mm in height. In fact, this is 28. So having the fans together with the radiator, the height is at 55 mm. Now for the measurement on the 240, it's slightly shorter, which this is at 277 mm. and for the width and the height is similar to the 360. Now on the structure of the unit, starting off with the radiator, let me just take this off. Be it the 240 or the 360, what I'm going to mention right now, they are of the same construction and design. Starting off with the structure is made out of aluminium, okay, the full set. And on each side, you have a Montech subtle logo. As you can see over here, see? And you have nice braided hose. And this hose length is of 400mm. Again, be it the 360 or the 240, this is at 400mm. And on each side, you have a very nice silver butt to hold the tube. And on the pump block, it's the same. Now, as I measured on the fin stack, which is at 1 inch, this is 20 fins per inch. Coming to the pump, now on the pump, please be very wary, there is a cover on top of it. Let me just grab it. Now when you remove this cover, right, do not throw it away, alright? There are instructions over here telling you that there is a URL for you to download the application. If not, you can head down to the website to download it. You can either throw this away or you can either retain this or to throw this away. For me, I'll just retain this for future reference. Now for the pump block, as you can see, it's very nicely furnished. But the only thing that I notice is the top. It is bound with fingerprints, or should I say fingerprint magnetic. It will be nice if Montech can supply a microfiber cloth to clean the top. Because sometimes end users, right, or PC builders, right, they might use different type of cloth, and when they clean it, right, you might get scratches because this is alkalic. Now as for the dimension of the pump block, measuring from the top to the bottom, left to the right, this is at 67.2mm. And as for the height, this is at 52.3mm. The specification of the pump is running on 12 volt at 0.33 ampere, the current. And for the RPM at max, this is at 3100 RPM, plus minus 10%. Now, as shown you, it's pre-paste. And this whole piece here, right, is copper block, which is nice. And for the connection point, you have a couple over here. Starting off with this is the 9-pin USB connector, which is connected to your motherboard, which controls the digital display on the screen. It can be CPU, it can be GPU. Then next you have these two cables over here. Starting off with this is the 4-pin PWM fan connector, which controls the pump rotation. And this is controllable since it's 4-pin, so you can make use of the PWM to control whether you want to run at full speed, 80% or such. Next you have this 3-pin 5V argb, which controls the argb effect at the rim of the pump block. Now coming to the fans, as mentioned to you, fans are pre-installed. I've taken them out, and these are fastened by stainless steel screws. Well done. I like this. And best part is that these are flat head, so you will definitely grip this properly on the radiator. Now as for the fans, right, these are known as the E28 argb, a new fan coming from Montech. It is very sturdy, and it does have subtle design with the logo and the label. See, nicely done. And the cables are pretty short. When you want to do daisy chain, right, it's supposed to be this way. Now I'll take this out. It daisy chain to another fan, leaving you with less cable mess. Anyway, these are pre-installed on the fan, on the radiator, so you don't have to mess with it. The only thing that you have to fiddle with, right, is this end over here, which connect to a extension By the way, all these are pre-installed, right? You don't have to worry, I'm just showing you. So at this end, right, all you need to worry is to connect the 4-pin PWM connector and the argb 3-pin 5V connector, which is to control the RPM, and also the 4-pin is for the rotation of the fans, and the argb is for the fan blade. Now back to the construction itself. Besides the laboring and the sturdiness, right, there are anti-vibration rubber grommets, and this is not stick on, something which I truly enjoy what Montech have done. Say this is actually a whole piece, the whole piece rubber, so the absorption of this, right, will definitely be very good, and it will reduce noise, which is fantastic. So it applies to all the 4 corners of the fans. Attention to details, that's what I like. Now there are a total of 9 bladers on each fans, and as mentioned, these are argb, so when I sweep, see, it doesn't wobble, and these are made of fluid dynamic bearing. Now coming to the fan specs, as written over here, these are running on 12 volt DC and at a amperage of 0.35 ampere, and as for the RPM, minimum is at 800 all the way to the max, which is 2200 RPM. For the airflow is at 96.27 CFM, and for the air pressure or static pressure is at 4.13 millimeter H2O. And as for the noise resolution, my goodness, this is fantastic, 36.25 decibel. For Intel mounting, since I'm mounting on a 1700 socket, things you need: the back plate, which label over here 1700, 4 standoffs. Now for this 4 standoffs, make sure you check on the package, which written here 1700. Next will be 4 retention board for you to clamp your block to the standoffs, and the fastening bolt tool. First thing to do, plug your processor in, make sure it's firmly done, turn over your motherboard. Locate the 4 screw holes. Let me just zoom in. Prepare your back plate. Remove this double-sided tape. Kudos to Montech, well done. At least the back plate will hold on the motherboard when you flip over. Now, to place this in, right, I would advise you the long strip double-sided tape, right, tape to the frame over here. Because for Intel, right, you can do it this way or do it this way. So I would rather have it this way, which fully grab the double-sided tape on the back plate. Next, anchor all this 4 point, assuming you have removed the double-sided tape. Place it to the 4 holes. Now, a way that I do it is pretty simple. An index finger on 1 point, which is this, point to here. As you can see, this is swivelable, so this is my anchor point. So you just glide to the other 3 holes, and this is done. Assuming this is done, turn over your motherboard. Now I've not taped the double-sided tape, so I'll be supporting it. So assuming that, okay, let's see if this works. Okay, good. Once this is done, right, next thing, your standoffs, screw them in. You don't have to you don't have to over tighten them. Once the standoff, right, reaches the tip of your motherboard, stop. Don't go any further. Just leave it first. Do it for all the 4 sides. Now this corner here is rather tight, so you might take some time to fiddle with it. So once this is done, right, make use of the fasten bolt tool. You can tighten it further. Don't have to be too tight, just hand tight. Once this is done, right, next thing to do is to plug your pump to the IHS or the processor. But before you do so, of course, you will need to clean it with alcohol, wipe it dry. Next step will be this. You can remove this cover. Make sure you remove this. This is pre-paste, so you don't have to apply thermal paste. you need to wipe, then you apply on it. Now I'm not going to apply this directly here, but I can make use of this. Now this piece here, right, in fact is this piece. Okay, is this piece. Reason I'm not using this or showing you live, based on the fact that I want to use the pre-paste on the AMD. Since my Intel processor is damaged, I can't show you. So assuming that this frame here, right, is the block, okay, the pump block, what you need to do is to align the 4 holes, right, to the standoffs. So when you align, right, next thing you do, you can gently press down the pump block, do some wiggling so that the thermal paste will spread evenly to your IHS. Assuming it's already down, make sure you hold on the pump block with one hand, okay, light pressure, not too much, don't over press it. Make use of the retention bolt, fasten the block down. You don't have to, you know, keep on screwing it, just make sure that it's in place. So once it's in place, right, make use of your screwdriver, do it alternately, probably the top, make 1 turn here, 1 turn, then go to the top again, 1 turn, and at the bottom 1 turn. Repeat this action till the whole block is, you know, nicely pressured to your IHS. That will give you even pressure, and that will yield good results. Now once you have done this, there are a total of 5 more steps to go. On the pump block, you will have all this connection point. Alright, total of 3. First thing you will need to feeder, I would advise you to plug this, the 4-pin PWM connector, which is to control the RPM of your pump. So read your motherboard instruction manual. For this ASUS motherboard, the pump AIO, or should I say the AIO underscore pump header, right, is located over here, which is at the center. Okay, probably I'll zoom in, which is this. And this is CPU fan 1. Okay, the first one is CPU fan 1. Okay, this is CPU fan 1, this is AIO underscore pump, and this is CPU underscore op. So I'll plug the pump connector to the AIO underscore pump. Reason for this, because this will give you better amperage, or should I say this header here, right, is specifically for your pump to rotate at a consistent speed. Now next, you have this too, which is the USB 9-pin and the argb. I probably can do the argb first. For the argb connector, connect to your motherboard argb header. Okay, you can just plug it in. Done. And final step, the USB connector. Now you can route this to the back. If you are in the case, right, you can route this to the back because it's long enough. See, it's very long. So once you've done that, right, assuming that you have route to the back, connect this to the USB header on your motherboard. You have 2 over here, so I'm just going to connect to 1. So the pump connection is done. The final step is your radiator fan. You have 2 more connection points, which is over here. Now, most important thing is to connect the 4-pin PWM connector, which is to rotate your fan, the RPM of your fans. So I'll plug this to the CPU underscore 1. Now do take note, for ASUS board, okay, for ASUS board, there's CPU underscore fan and there's CPU underscore op. Do not plug it to the CPU underscore op, as this does not have an individual controlling on the PWM. So if you want to control the PWM on your radiator fans, right, make sure you plug to the CPU underscore fan. Else, if you are using gigabyte board, you can plug either CPU_1 or CPU_op. Reason being, right, for gigabyte board, both you can control the PWM or the RPM. So make sure on ASU board, just connect to the CPU_fan. Okay, so you can just plug it over here. Now the last step will be connecting the argb connector, which is this. Now for argb connector, if your motherboard does not have additional argb header, what do? You don't have to panic. Remember the pump with the argb that I've connected at this end, right? See, it's with a splitter. You can plug the fan argb connector to here, and this will synchronize the argb effect of your pump and the radiator fans. But if your motherboard have a separate additional argb header and you want different light effects between the pump and the radiator having individual argb, don't connect to this splitter. Instead, plug to another argb header if your motherboard have it. So by doing so, right, on the utility program, you can control individual set of argb effects, which is pump is the pump, radiator fans are the radiator fans, and this is done. Things you need for AMD platform. I'm mounting on a AM5 platform, which this is a 9950X processor. Things you need: the AMD mounting bracket, the AM4 or AM5 standoff, it doesn't matter, they use the same, the fastening bolt tool, and the retention bolt to fasten your block to the processor. Now, first thing you do, plug your processor in and make sure that it's secured. Next thing, use your screwdriver, unscrew all these 4 screws, take out the original bracket. You can put that aside. Next, put all these spacer, or should I say standoff, to the 4 areas. Now you don't have to over tighten it, just hand tight. Once it touches the motherboard, you can stop there. Using the fasten tool, tighten it further. Don't have to over tight, just hand tight. Once this is done, next step will be apply alcohol, clean it, wipe it dry, which I've already done. And now you can mount the block. Now as for the block, this frame over here, right, is meant for Intel. So kindly note, you will need to remove this. Please be very careful because it's with a pre-paste. Okay, you got to remove off this bracket. So when you're removing this, right, please do not touch the pre-paste. Then, as mentioned to you, there is this mounting bracket. Now, having the curved side should be facing upwards, the flat side facing the bottom. So this is how it should be. So remember, this is the rounded area, should be facing at the top. This flat side is facing towards you. Put it in. Once locked in place, you can align these 4 holes to the standoffs. Now I'll do it since this is going to be live. Okay, align the 4 holes first, don't press it down. Once it's aligned, press your whole pump in, wiggle, so that your thermal paste, right, will spread evenly to your processor. Holding on to the block, do not let go. Mount the mounting board. Okay, you don't have to screw it all the way, it's just fasten in place first. Having this, right, then right now you can screw in. Having a top, 1 turn, diagonally, 1 turn, goes back to the top, 1 turn, and 1 turn. Repeat this again and again. It's like again, one turn, one turn, one turn, and one turn. Now you can choose to do it, do it 2 turn, 2 turn, 2 turn, 2 turns, up to you. But I just want the even pressure, and at all times, right, your finger must be holding on to the block, giving a bit of pressure just to hold on it. Because if you let this wiggle about, right, there will be bubbling between the, the thermal paste will have bubbling between the cold plate and the processor. So if you want good results, make sure you hold on it, avoid those bubbling and such. So I'm just going to finish up everything. Okay, this is done. Now you will screw to a point whereby the bolt doesn't screw in anymore. Just stop. Just do a slight tightening. Okay, not over tightening, and this is done. The final step that you're going to do are all the connection point. Starting off with the pump. The pump itself, you have 3 connection point. Okay, let me just do this nicely. You have total of 3 connection point, where you have the 4-pin PWM connector, the argb connector, and the USB connector. The most important connection is the 4-pin PWM. This is where it rotates your pump. So on the header over here, okay, probably I'll zoom in. By the way, check your motherboard for instruction on where the headers are for, as I know that the first one is CPU underscore fan 1, followed by the pump underscore system 1. This is meant for the pump, and the last one is this system fan. I will plug the AIO pump, which is the 4-pin PWM, to the pump underscore system, as this will give more amperage, or should I say sufficient amperage for your pump to rotate consistently. Then next thing will be the argb connector, which is the 3-pin 5V. Again, check on your motherboard which is the addressable argb header, where I have one over here. I will just connect to this. Once this is all done, the last connection point, which is the USB connection. Now the USB connection itself is pretty long, so you can actually route. If let's say this is in the case, right, you can route to the back of your motherboard, and towards the bottom over here, okay, I have 2 USB connection point. I will just connect to one, and the pump is done. The final step, you have the radiator connectors, which you have 2, the 4-pin PWM and the 3-pin argb connector. Alright, now for the most important connection for your radiator fans, right, is the 4-pin PWM connector. Connect this to your motherboard CPU underscore fan. If your motherboard has CPU underscore op, do take note, for ASUS do not plug it to that. For Gigabyte you can, because for CPU underscore op, right, only Gigabyte board can control the RPM of the fans, but for ASUS motherboard, no. So take note on that. But at all times, I would advise to connect the PWM fan of your radiator fans, right, to the CPU underscore fan, which all the motherboards will have, because this is the master controller. So I'll plug this to this. Now the argb is daunting right now, because this motherboard has only one connection point over here, and the other is at the lower section. So what I'm going to do, either you split it, pull it, and to mount it over here, or if you can remember the pump argb connector, at the end you have this splitter. So you can just connect your fan argb connector to the pump argb splitter. And of course, by doing so, right, you're synchronizing the argb effect on the pump with your radiator fans. You can't do it individually unless you want to split it. Then probably, as mentioned to you, right, do not connect to the splitter. You have to pull this, split this, and connect to the bottom so that you can make use of the motherboard argb utility to control individually the pump argb effect and the radiator argb effect. And this is done. This is one very good innovation whereby once you have plugged the AIO on your system and you boot up to Windows, right, the internet browser will just launch and it will prompt you to download the application straight. So once you install, this is what you're gonna see. Now, if there isn't any problem, right, you still can head down to the website. I will leave the URL in my description. You can just click on it and download the application. Once you have downloaded, right, when you launch, there will be an icon on your lower right taskbar. So if you click on it, this is what you're going to see. Now, on the screen, as you see right now, this is my CPU temperature. If you want to set to GPU, over here, just click on GPU and it will show you the GPU temperature. And to change the degree Celsius, you can change Fahrenheit. See? You can change back to degree Celsius. Now this only have two functions, which is either to show your CPU or your GPU. Now over here, right, this is in fact the stat. If you were to ramp up, see, it will goes up. So besides the digital, digital stats, right, it will also show you the bar over here. Let me illustrate to you how noisy the pump is when it's at full speed. And right after that, I'll be testing together the pump and the radiator fans. But right now it's at idle and my pump is at full speed. If you can take a look at my right, the status on the AIO pump is at full speed, which is 3100 above RPM. So this is my microphone over here. Going to do a sound test. I'm just going to place near the pump. This is at idle, but the pump is at full speed, and this is how it sounds like. Right now I'm just going to take away the microphone and to place it over here. Do a sound test. Now my mic is away from the pump about half a feet, and away from the radiator fans about 1 feet. So right now I'm just going to ramp up the Cinebench and to let you listen when it's at load. So the noise will be from the radiator fans and from the pump. Here we go. Oh no, this is at idle. And this is when I ramp it up. Here we go. So that's the noise that you hear from the radiator and from the pump. Right now I'm just going to let it idle again and to let you listen. Now I'm away from the setup about 1 meter. I can't hear the pump. If you guys can hear the pump when I place the microphone near, right, that's because of the microphone which is very near to the pump. If you were to sit away about 1 meter away, and this is in the case, right, I can't hear the pump at all. Else I can hear the fan when I ramp it up. But again, this is open bench. I can hear away from 1 meter, but if this is to be in the case, right, I can't hear anything. Alright, right now it's actually at idle. I'm going to ramp it up again and let you listen to the noise of the pump and the radiator fans. Here we go. Now, as you can hear, there is noise from the radiator fan, but it's not giving a very large, or should I say sharp pitch. Instead, it's a very light hum. Unlike of all the radiator fans that I've tested, right, these are the most easy to listen to. So if you were to place this in your case, right, you wouldn't have a problem, absorbing the noise of it, and it does check out very well. It is, to me, quiet, light hum, and it does perform. Now, I'm going to conduct the thermal test right now, just to let you have a look. My room temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, right, hovering around 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to conduct a test with a 9950X, and let's see what the result is. For the thermal test, this is a 360 HyperFlow Digital, and these are the specs. You can pause and have a look. And the processor, as mentioned to you, is a 9950X on a Montech B850M, and these are the RAMs, and I've enabled the expo profile and having a VCOR offset of minus 0.05 volt, and for the SoC I block it down to a voltage of 1.15. Now you have witnessed what I've shown you, as this is a one-time go, as I've done, making use of the pre-paste on the processor itself. So as I run, okay, now these are all by default, which I've not changed, which is the PPT, TDC, EDC, and such. And I'm running off Cinebench together with Permark, again stressing on the processor itself, on both the load and the GPU usage. So with this say, right, I run it, and as I run, as you can see, the beginning, right, nothing much. So I'm just going to pull to the last 3 minutes. Should be around here. Okay. So as I run, right, take a look at the temperature. My goodness, 77 degrees Celsius. This is default. Okay. I only done an offset on the VCOR and to set the SoC voltage fix. So it's running pretty good. And looking at the base clock and the boost clock. Okay. Now, for the boost clock, for some reason, it doesn't meet up to the criteria whereby by right it should be 5.7. Now I've actually done up a chart over here. So these are the tests that I'll be conducting. Now starting off with the temperature on the, okay, as mentioned to you, right, PPT, TDC, and EDC, these are all default. I've not changed. So let me just take down the CPU temperature, which is over here. Okay, probably I can move this up. So having a CPU temperature, okay. The CPU temperature is hovering at 77, 78 degrees Celsius. So I'll just take it as the max, 78 degrees Celsius. Then for the mumble, which I'm taking the stats over here, 52, 51.52. Okay, since down here is 52, max, I'll just put 52 degrees Celsius. Then for the VRM, 58.5. Chipset will be at 56.5. The 2 DIMM slot, 47.5 and 46.5. And the M.2 is 45 degrees Celsius. Now for the base clock, it did meet up, because the base clock by right should be 4.3 on default AMD website of this processor, but somehow it went up, which is 4.5 gig. So I'll just type this 4.5. Let's see. Okay, 3.5. I just set it to 3.5. Then for the boost clock, as mentioned to you, right, by right the boost clock should be 5.7, but it didn't reach, so you just hit around 5.6. But this does not matter, as you can see, right, it's consistent on the base clock. So this is done. Now to take you to the score, and let me just pull this to here. Okay, got the score. So the score is 39,186. So this is actually by default, as mentioned to you, right? Okay, let me just bring it back. Yep, this is by default. I've not done anything, and with just the offset and the SOC voltage, which I lock it. Now coming to the next test where I did my own VBO settings. This is the one. Okay, I've actually set, no, this is incorrect. Let me just key in all this first. Now this was my setting which I've done. So having the PPT to 230 watt, the TDC to 185 and EDC to 195, and having the curve optimizer of CCD, the first stack minus 20 and the second stack minus 15, and the curve shaper with the mid frequency, all the tree temperature at minus 15, the high frequency, all the tree temperature with minus 10, and the max frequency, the tree temperature with minus 0.5. So as I run, it's doing great. It's slightly lower, and looking at the base clock, it went all the way to 5 gig, or hovering around 5.9 gig. And the boost clock, yes, it did meet the criteria as in 5.7. Well, probably these are the few minutes. Probably you say that, you know, it's no count. So let me just drag all the way to the last 3 minutes. Should be around here. Yep. So I let it run. As I run, take a look. My base clock is still around 5 gig to 5.9 gig. Or should I say 4.9 gig to 5 gig. And the boost clock sustained, which is 5.725. And looking at the thermal, wow, 76 to 77 degrees Celsius. And the rest of the temperature, right, does check out. So let me just take down the readings. So with this set, right, the second round, which is this, okay, as you can see, 360. These are my settings, and the PPT, TDC, and EDC have changed. Right. So based on my settings, with the curve optimizer and the curve shaper, these are the results. So I'm getting about 76 degrees Celsius, as you can see over here. Then for the, okay, let me just pull this down. For the motherboard, it's 48.5. The VRM is at 54.5, and the chipset 51 degrees Celsius. The two DIMM, or should I say the RAMs, 40.8 and 39 degrees Celsius, and the M.2 43 degrees Celsius. And the base is at, okay, I know it can run 5 gig, but let me just put 4.9 because it does hover from there to here. So with this, I'll just put 4.986. And for the max boost, it reaches 5.725. And the result, let me just pull to the back. Okay, around here. Yep, that's right. So the result is over, and this is at 43011. The final thing that I've done, I swap out the 360 with the 240. I just want to see how much this 240 can do or to perform. And this is actually a one-time goal, as I'm using the pre-paste again. So with this said, all the settings are the same, which is based on my settings. I didn't run on default, so I just straight away run my settings because it's good on the 360. So I just want to test this 240. So as I run for the very beginning, okay, everything seems normal, etc. So I'm just going to pull this to the last 3 minutes or so. Okay, somewhere around here. Yep. Okay, I'll just let it run. Now, the temperature to me is acceptable. It's around 80 to 81 degrees Celsius. Okay, let me just take down a reading. But before I do so, right, if you were to kindly rewind back, you won't see so much dip. I mean, on the 360 as compared to the 240. So this is one. So right now I'm just going to take down all the temperature. So this is the 240. I'm using my own PPT, TDC, and EDC settings. The temperature is 80. Okay, I just put 80 because it's hover around 80 to 81 degrees Celsius. Then the rest of the temperature on the Mambo is 51.5. Chipset is 60. Sorry, the BRM is 60. The chipset is 55.6. The 2 DIMM, or should I say the RAMs? Okay. Alright, I just put 48. Next will be 46.2, followed by my M.2, which is 44 degrees Celsius. Now, looking on the base clock, it's at 4.968 to 76. Okay, 4.968 around there. Okay, I'll take it as 56 because this fluctuates quite a fair bit. Hang on, let me just see. Okay, I'll just take 964. Okay, as an average. Anyway, it's 4.9 gig, by the way. So this boost clock here, it does impressively, which is over 5.7 gig. And as for the score, let me just pull to the back. Okay, this is the score. Okay, with this said, to conclude, looking at the chart, upon default 360 is doing this temperature. Okay, if I am going to set my own PBT, TDC, and my own curve optimizer and curve shaper, right, I can achieve this. And with a higher base clock, which is 4.9 gig as compared to the default is 4.5, and AMD spec for base clock on the website is this, and the max boost is 5.7 gigahertz. So with this say, right, it's doing very well on the 360. See, especially on the thermal, it drops. Majority of them drop due to the fact that I'm using the curve optimizer, -20 magnitude, and the second CCD is -15, and with the curve shaper, these are the results, which is much better than the default. And I'm able to pull even further on the base clock because by default is 5.4, but this is 5.986, and with the boost clock consistent, random boost clock at 5.725, and the score is this. Take a look at the score and this score. It's so much better. Now, on the 240, I was utterly out of words. I thought that it would just throttle, but surprisingly, yes, it's able to handle. But as I mentioned to you, right, there are lots of dips. If I were to rewind this, see, it's consistently dipping, so it's not really that consistent as compared to this. See, this is the one that I've done on the 360, which is on a regular basis. See, there are less dip as compared to the 240. The 240, a lot of dips, but nevertheless, it is still doing good based on the based on the overall result for this, though the temperature is high. Okay, but I will say that it's even better. The scores, right, is even better than the default 360. Okay, default, I'm talking about no curve optimizer, no curve shaper. So this does prove that both Liquid AIO can tank a 9950X or even a 9950X 3D. In fact, if you were to plug a 9800X 3D, right, definitely your machine will be running very cool. My thoughts about this HyperFlow Digital 360 or 240 from Montech, I only have 3 words for it. I'm utterly impressed. Why am I so impressed? From the very beginning, as I followed Montech throughout, they provided me with the HyperFlow that was an average okay liquid cooler that was very new in the market. And as time goes by, they improved that to another version, which is the HyperFlow Silent, and that improved even further based on the fact they have changed the locking mechanism on the mounting for AMD. Instead of 2-point, they have set 4-point, and that helped to have even pressure from the cold plate to the IHS. Well done. Now, coming to this newer version, which is known as the HyperFlow Digital, be it the 240 or 360, my goodness, Montech have up another level. Where you have weakness, I've shown you the thermal results. By default, without any PBO settings, only offset on the B core and locking on the SOC voltage. It didn't go over 80 degrees Celsius, and it's still hovering at a consistent or base speed at 4.5, and able to hit, or should I say not able to hit the boost clock, but that's alright. But consistency, the base clock is at 4.5. And next, when I plug in my own configuration, what happened? It's even better. It doesn't even hit 78 degrees Celsius. In fact, it's hovering around 76 degrees Celsius. And with the rest of the component, like your MOSFET, your M.2, your RAMs, all lower down in temperature. And it's still pushing up the base clock, which is 4.9 gig. And it reached the target of the boost clock, random boost clock, which is 5.725. And best part is that I noticed, okay, if you to rewind this, right, if you notice that on the 360, the fans did not ramp up 2200 RPM, and is able to sustain with that clock frequency. So it tells me that there are more headroom for me to overclock using this liquid cooler, which is a good sign to majority of the DIY users out there who want to overclock. Okay, in fact, I'm more towards underclock, but I see that potential. Else, if I were to swap to the 240 with my own setting, yes, the fan ramp up to the max, which is 2200 RPM. But even if ramp up to 2200 RPM, right, the 240 is still able to sustain the base clock at 4.9 gig, just like the 360, and able to hit the max boost at 5.725 gigahertz. The difference is only on the thermal of all the rest of the component, which is slightly hotter, but it still perform better, okay, with my setting on the 240, better than the default settings on the 360. So this is what impressed me a lot. Now, coming to the construction, it's well built, just like the rest of the HyperFlow series. The braided holes, the construction of it, everything is fine. And on top of which, right, as why this liquid cooler is improving so much, I believe the structures are all the same. It's the fan. This E28 argb, very impressive. Okay, it is not noisy. It just gives you a slight hum. The design of it, fantastic. Diffusion, fantastic. It's like, this fan does change the whole game. In fact, it's 28mm, so there will be more air going through, like, pulling the cool air in and to go through the radiator. And it's very channel focused. There are no gaps in between. And based on the fact that why are they so silent, because of the anti-vibration rubber grommet, which I show you is one whole piece. Nothing is being chipped out on this Liquid AIO. Well, Montech, I got to congrats you. You have done a very good job in improving your Liquid AIO. Continue to improve on it. And especially on the screen itself, right? I understand why you have done this. This is your very first start. But I believe that a lot will be expecting to have LCD display, image display, things like that, or static to be configured. But mind you, out there, okay, for those DIY users or DIY PC builders, Montech is hitting a target as a night. Best value. And why is it best value? I can tell you why. This retro look, to me, is more than acceptable. First thing, it tells me the importance of the temperature of a CPU and your GPU. Second thing, you can play with the argb effect as a night. Some of the motherboards have this argb function whereby it reads the thermal and to change the color on the argb, be your fan or the rim over here. Okay, another thing, we do not want lots of background processors. This background process, right, takes 0.01% to 0.02% to run. So that is very good. It clears up all the bloatware and such, the unnecessity of delays and whatsoever. So that's the reason why Montech have target best value, giving you a retro look, which I like it so much. Clear indication. The wording is so big. I mean, the digital is so big. And the bar over here, right, it does help too. Just one glance, you will know that, oh, how much the temperature is like. So this is very well done. Now, one thing I dislike about this unit, okay, only one thing. I hope that Montech can provide a microfiber cloth. Why? If you're gonna use normal cloth, right, this is acrylic. If I'm gonna clean it based on my fingerprint, right, with a normal cloth, right, it's gonna have scratches. So this is the only complaint that I have. Other than that, everything is fine. Well, hopefully those people who actually wanted the LCD panel to change the image or animation and such, right, probably there will be another version from Montech, who knows. But with this said, I'd like to thank Montech to provide two gorgeous, fantastic performance Liquid AIO, which is the 360 and the 240 HyperFlow Digital. Thank you very much. Now, for those of you actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Now, don't forget to help me a favor, a big favor. If you like this content, click on the like button and this will help my channel. With this said, take care, goodbye, see ya.